Hey family! Today, Newcastle is at the center of a story that's making waves, and it involves none other than Alexander Isak. But before we dive into this, let me remind you, I'm Rodrigo, and you're watching Newcastle Mania, the channel made by a fan, for fans who are passionate about Newcastle United. You blinked, and suddenly Newcastle is headline news everywhere. And look, today's story is heavy. People are talking about fan reactions, but there's a Premier League legend warning everyone to keep calm. The main news is coming right up. But before that, if you haven't subscribed yet, a quick word. Remember those Chelsea fans who said this channel wasn't growing because our fan base is too small? Well, they are starting to get quiet because our numbers are growing. So, if you love Newcastle and want to shut them up once and for all, click that subscribe button right now. It costs nothing, but it sends a message. Let's hit 1,000 subscribers together and show them what the Black and White Army is really about. Here we go. Wayne Rooney, one of the biggest legends in Premier League history, has just dropped a statement nobody expected. He directly told Newcastle fans, "Don't do anything to Alexander Isak." Yes, family, Rooney is saying that anger mustn't cross the line. But what's going on with Isak to get to this point? It's about a possible exit, pressure, and his future at the club is completely uncertain. Let's break it down. Wayne Rooney knows exactly what he's talking about because he's been through similar situations himself. Remember 2010? Rooney announced he wanted to leave Manchester United, and out of nowhere, some fans showed up at his house at 3 a.m. Yes, you heard that right, 3 in the morning. The situation was so extreme that his wife, Colleen, was awake looking after their son Kai and, scared, had to call the police. Rooney came down to handle the situation and even tried to understand what the fans were doing there at such an absurd hour. And the most incredible part? The next day, after all that tension, Rooney signed a new contract with United. So, nobody should ever think that threats or extreme pressure can force professional players' decisions. The message is clear. Anger is natural. Frustration is understandable, but crossing the line is wrong. And that's exactly the lesson Rooney is trying to pass on to Newcastle fans about Alexander Isak. He said clearly that Isak is under a lot of pressure, and any action that crosses personal boundaries doesn't help at all. Rooney reminds us that no matter how much fans want to show their frustration, invading a player's life, whether at their home, online, or anywhere else, is unacceptable and can even harm Newcastle itself. On top of that, Rooney understands a fan's frustration. After all, we're talking about Alexander Isak, the club's most lethal striker last season, a player everyone expects to shine at St. James Park. But even in this tense scenario, Rooney makes it clear, respect comes first. It's a message of maturity and responsibility, showing that fan passion must never turn into threat or aggressive behavior. He's basically saying, fans, you can be upset, disappointed, criticize, but never cross a line. That line separates passion from disrespect. And in modern football, respect and professionalism must always go hand in hand. Wayne Rooney's statement is already causing waves across the football world. And of course, Newcastle is no exception. The English press can't stop talking about it, with newspapers and websites highlighting the Premier League legend's words, reminding everyone how well he knows what it's like to be in the fans' firing line. It's that mix of respect for the player's history and a warning about how far fan passion can go. On social media, the debate is heating up. Some fans are criticizing Isak, saying he should be 100% committed to Newcastle, especially after such an incredible Premier League season. They feel the striker should show more loyalty and professionalism without leaving the team in the middle of pre-season at such a crucial time. But at the same time, there are those defending the Swede. Many remind us that a player also has personal dreams and career goals, and seeking new opportunities, even under fan pressure, is natural in modern football. These supporters emphasize that Isak isn't doing anything illegal or unethical. He's simply exploring options that could be better for his future. The key point Rooney reinforces, and what journalists, former players, and analysts are repeating, is simple but powerful. Fan frustration is understandable, but any action invading a player's personal life is never justified. No showing up at their door, no threats, no intimidation. The message is clear. Passion, yes. Disrespect, never. And it's interesting to see how this statement is shaping the debate among Newcastle fans. Some say the Isak situation could be resolved much more calmly if everyone respected boundaries. Others point to Rooney's 2010 example, reminding us that even the greats go through tense moments, but staying calm and respectful always helps. In the end, the reaction shows this story goes far beyond the pitch. It's about ethics, respect, fan responsibility, and how the club treats its players. Every post, comment, and news story now has a potential to spark more debate, and everyone is watching the next chapter of the saga at St. James Park. To get the full picture, let's set the scene. Alexander Isak is still Newcastle's main striker and was a standout player last season, but has made it clear he wants to explore other options, mainly a move to Liverpool. Eddie Howe has admitted this has disrupted pre-season and that the situation hasn't been healthy for the squad. It's a delicate scenario. The club need to keep the team focused, manage frustrated fans, and navigate a striker who's trying to decide his future. Eddie Howe is firm. Alex is one of the best forwards in the world, if not the best. Not having him in the squad leaves a huge gap. But Howe also highlights that the players are adapting, trying to make the best of the situation. Rooney reinforces this. It's not just about Isak wanting to leave. It's about the atmosphere around him and how it affects the team. A top player deserves respect, even amid controversy. Look at this. What Isak is going through is exactly like what Rooney experienced at United, or other top players who wanted to move clubs. There will always be criticism, fan frustration, and pressure, but invading a player's personal life is never the solution. There's always a line you shouldn't cross. And Rooney is a living example of why patience and professionalism are essential. And now comes a part everyone wants to understand. What could actually happen next with Isak's situation and the fans' reactions? Because, as always, every action has a reaction, and in football, nothing happens without consequences. If the fans follow Wayne Rooney's advice and respect the limits, the story could unfold much more calmly. The player can negotiate his future in peace. Newcastle gets time to plan replacements or tactical adjustments in attack, and the club maintains squad morale and credibility. It's a scenario where everyone comes out, at the very least, reasonably satisfied. The team keeps its cohesion. Fans still feel involved in the club, but no one is put at risk, and Newcastle's public image remains intact. Now, if the pressure goes too far, that's when things get complicated. Showing frustration is natural, but invading the player's personal life, showing up at his house, or creating real hostility can have serious consequences. First, Isak might feel threatened, demotivated, or even emotionally withdraw from the club, which directly affect performance on the pitch. A demotivated player means lower productivity, fewer goals, and, of course, a negative impact on results. Moreover, Newcastle risks serious internal problems. A squad that senses tension, hostility, or disrespect towards one of their main players could start feeling the strain. This affects training, team chemistry, and even the psychological preparation for the season. And nowadays, the impact isn't just inside the club. Social media and the press amplify every move, potentially affecting Newcastle's public image and reputation in the transfer market. Top-level players watch how the club treats its athletes, and situations like this could complicate future signings. Finally, there's also the strategic impact. If things get out of control and Isak feels pressured, negotiations with interested clubs could be rushed or jeopardized, and Newcastle risks not getting a fair price for their star. On the other hand, if everything is handled calmly, with planning and respect, the club could come out stronger, maintaining internal harmony, reinforcing squad confidence, and perhaps turning a tense situation into an opportunity to show maturity and professionalism. So, we're talking about a very fine line. One action from either side can turn this story into an example of how to handle crises or full-blown behind-the-scenes disaster. Every step matters. Every comment on social media can influence things, and what seemed like an isolated player issue actually has repercussions both on and off the pitch. So, family, Rooney's message is clear. Passionate fans, criticize at the stadium, on Twitter, but don't invade anyone's personal life. Respect above all. Alexander Isak is talented. He's our elite striker, and he deserves space to make the best decision for his career. This saga still has many chapters ahead, and we need to follow it with patience and intelligence. So, what would you do if you were in the fans' shoes? Support him, criticize him at the stadium, or cross the line? Comment below because I read everything and want to hear the opinion of every single one of the Black and White Nation. And if you haven't subscribed yet, come on board. Hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and follow every chapter of this season that promises to be historic for Newcastle United. And of course, hoey the lads.